All right, we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is We Love Comics. Hopefully, you are enjoying your day. It is a beautiful day here in sunny Florida. Blue skies, nice weather. And I thought before I go out and enjoy my day, I thought I would do some unboxings with you guys. Haven't done a video in about a week, and hope you guys are doing well. So, as usual, let me give a shout out to all the people that are my Patreon members. So if you want to be one of my Patreon members who can help support not only my comic book channel, but also all the stray cats that I take care of, you can go to patreon.com/. We Love Comics. There is no maximum amount that will be appreciated. Anything is always appreciated. So please do what you can if you want to, and you'll get your name up and shout it out every single video. And if I can get to 20 people that are paid Patreon members, I will have some giveaways. We're going to keep trying to do that until we establish it. So we're still at 13, but I appreciate you 13 that are here. So shout out to Sith Lord, Michael B., James R., Dan L., Herbert R., Annabelle N., Jason B., Kim N., the last and latest of the newest members was Blessed. Appreciate you joining. And then the last four, if you want me to shout out your YouTube channel or a social network or even a website to your own personal business instead of just your name, just let me know when you sign up, and I'll be more than happy to do that. So, shout out to Kendall Kid Comics on YouTube. Shout out to Scott WU077 on Instagram. Stephen L. Turk Author at Facebook. And last but not least, Silver Age Surfer _comics on Instagram. So, I'm not going to go through the full details of this, but if I can get to 20 paid members, and it could happen at any moment, I got some giveaways that I'll raffle off every single month. I have 20 paid members, so if you want to join in, there is no minimum to enter other than the minimum to join anybody's Patreon, which is $2 a month. But you'll get one entry for every $2 that you put in. So the more that you are contributing, the more chances you will get when I do the contests. So basically, need 7 more people and I'll be able to do that. So let's put on the video camera. Hello, one and all. All right, let me just reduce this a little bit so I can see. There we go, the live chat. We got Pino and GT Key Comic in the live chat. So I got 4 unboxings I'm going to do for you, even though technically these are not boxes. Got a lot of stuff that I can unbox, and I haven't done one in a little while, so especially if you're somebody who might be new to collecting or maybe missed the videos that I used to do of, telling people what comics they should get, which of course is just my opinion. Watch any of the unboxing videos I do, because my unboxing videos are always about books that I feel either I can get for a bargain or something that I feel is going to be valuable and continue to increase in value over time. So, of course, nothing is guaranteed. But if you watch my track record, you know that I'm pretty darn good at this stuff. So, this person packaged it pretty darn well. And I always tell people, even if you've been buying comics for years, never assume that a seller knows or cares how to package a comic. If you want to try your best to avoid the manila envelope of death, which I'm sure we've all gotten within our times, don't be afraid to tell somebody what you would like to have happen. Tell them, could you mail it in a box, or can you at least put extra protection or write do not bend? And give a little explanation. Just be nice about it. And doesn't always work, but it works more times than it doesn't. So this person put very thick cardboard, one of the things I always ask if they can do. So this person, they didn't put it in a box, but they put some extra security on it, and that is something that I appreciate. They put an extra backing board. Now they put this one in upside down. Okay, they put an additional bag, so that's why. All right, so this person was actually trying to sell it for $100. They have a price tag on it. But I thought, and of course, we're going to open it just to make sure, because if you guys follow my channel, you pretty much know what this is most likely going to be once you see it. And of course, as usual, I give the prices that I pay for things. Many people don't do that. I like to do that so you can get an idea of what kind of deals you can have out there. So I think I've done an unboxing with another one of these. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll show you the other one. And you can see the one that I just showed was the sticker. It has the price tag. Somebody was selling it for $100. So that's, of course, Amazing Spider-Man number 135, which is the second appearance of the Punisher. But if you're one of my power viewers or ultra power viewers, you pretty much know what I'm about to show. So if you want to leave that in the comments section or in the live chat, by all means, please do. But I always encourage people to do one of two things with this book. So it is a Mark Jewelers variant. So you do want to make sure that the advertisement is in there. But there's another thing you got to make sure of in this book. Does it have the Marvel value stamp? Which this one absolutely does. So, these are things like I encourage people all the time. Make sure you know what you're doing when it comes to buying comics. I mean, especially if you are buying comics for, you know, speculation, which many people are, whether they admit it or not. A lot of people do, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't know what you're doing, you could sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I got a Mark Jewelers variant." But if you didn't check or didn't know there was a Marvel value stamp, and it was ultimately um, sent in to be graded, only to come back a qualified green label saying incomplete because the Marvel stamp was removed. If you didn't check and you didn't know, that's not the seller's fault. There are sellers out there, and I've had it happen, that will try and be deceitful and sometimes not mention things. Now, that could also mean they didn't know either, but a seller, if they're going to sell something, they really should know about these things. So, this, of course, is not the first appearance of the Punisher, which is Amazing Spider-Man number 129. But 135, second appearance of the Punisher. Mark Jewelers variant does have the Marvel value stamp in it. Um, I paid with shipping and handling $117. And is that 70 cents or 10 cents? 70 cents. So 117.70. So I won it for like 99.99, but after shipping and taxes came out to 117. So basically what this person was selling it for. I tell people all the time, and if you watch my channel, you know that if I find a decent deal on something, I'm gonna pounce on it when it comes to Mark Jewelers, because especially when you talk of books like New Mutants 98, X-Men 266, books like that, they're not uncommon. But if you have a newsstand variant, that makes them less common. And if you have a Mark Jewelers, it's even more rare, because only about 5% of a total print run ends up being Mark Jewelers. Now, if you don't know what Mark Jewelers are, they are comics that were either sold at a military base or in a store that's in the military base area. So again, it's just an advertisement in the center of the book. Make sure it's attached, because you don't want somebody to buy like a $5 garbage book that has a Mark Jewelers, rip it out and put it in a very expensive book claiming it's a Mark Jewelers. If it's not attached, then I would be very cautious about that. Again, you need to know these things. So for me, Mark Jewelers, especially when you're talking a book that's mid 70s, I would say about 1974. Correct me if I'm wrong, or if somebody wants to confirm that. I believe Amazing Spider-Man number 135 is around 1974 or the beginning of 75. So for me, to spend $100 on the second appearance of the Punisher in a Mark Jewelers with the Marvel value stamp, so it's complete. Um, I see that not as a steal, but definitely something that has room to grow in the future. All right, this one has two books in it, and they didn't put much protection, so I got to be careful how you cut this, because with no protection, if you're not cutting it carefully, the book can bend, and then of course that can damage the book. And definitely dropping the knife when you have bare feet, not a smart move. But like I said, just because you ask people if they can package something and protect it, not everybody listens, unfortunately. But it doesn't look like the comic package has bent or anything. So as long as the comic arrives okay, hey, I can deal with the fact that somebody was either lazy or trying to make as much money by saving on the shipping costs. Ultimately, as long as you get the book and what it's supposed to be, you know, it is what it is. But at least they put some kind of protection, which, a thin piece like this does nothing. I mean, I could literally sneeze and bend it in half, which would just show I have a powerful sneeze. But this is actually a DC book. There's actually, like I said, two books in here. Most of my collection is Marvel, but I have no problem collecting DC, especially if I can get a good deal. And on this one, I really couldn't pass it up. And of course, I will tell you the price, but this one I want to see what you would have paid for it because I want people to get used to the fact of looking up prices of books. So you don't assume if something's a good deal or a bad deal. I want you to know. So there's two books here. The first is Hawkman issue number 25. Now, this is the first appearance of Medusa. So I don't know how relative a character that would be in the DC universe, but this is the first comic appearance of Medusa. But this isn't why I bought the book. No, the set also got Hawkman number 1, which obviously is not the first appearance of Hawkman because he was a Golden Age character, but this is his first solo Silver Age book, as you can see, now in his own. I don't know why they called it a magazine. They should have put it as, yeah, now in his own comic series. It's definitely not a magazine. But let me ask you, for these two books, now they seem to be Hawkman number 25. Obviously, I'm just looking at the front cover, and I really hate people that say, oh, it's a 9/8 by just looking at the front cover, because I'd have to look at it in further details. But just viewing by the front cover as of now, and I'll check it. Any book I ever get graded, I'm going to check more than just looking at the cover. But I would say the Hawkman 25 is probably around the 5.0 range, and the Hawkman number 1 looks like between a 3.5 and a 4.5 range. So let's just say a 4.0. What would be the maximum you would have paid for both of these books? So if you want to take a moment maybe to look on eBay, even if you're just looking at Hawkman number 1 at a 4.0, now obviously a graded book's going to be more valuable than a raw book, but the DC universe is going to be rebooted soon. Who knows if they're using Hawkman or who knows if they do things correctly this time. I mean, with Hollywood and the way things are in this world, I'm not holding my breath at this point, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened. But what would be the maximum price? So if you're live, put it in the comment section. What would be the most you would have paid for this, including shipping and handling and taxes? Because remember, if you buy it on eBay, you have to add the taxes and shipping on top of that. So Pino says he would pay $100 for shipping and taxes for both of these books. If you're watching this later on, you can always put in the comment section what would be the most you would have paid for this. Now, you guys know I always make sure before I make an offer or bid on an auction, I make sure I check the values of books to make sure I'm not going to have the fear of missing out moment because I already, first of all, have one of these. I don't have any, I've never had this book before, but I could care less. To me, this is technically a throw in. I bought it just for this, even though this has minor significance at best. I bought this just for this because Hawkman number 1 for a Silver Age issue, to me, it's probably a C-level character, but still important in the DC universe enough to put him in movies, which they've already done, and I'm sure they'll continue it. Um, but I make sure if I can't get a deal, I'm not going to waste my time. So at this point, I see Pino's probably going to be the only one to comment on it, which is fine. I paid with eBay shipping and handling and with eBay taxes. I paid a grand total for both of these books, $65.55, which comes out to $32.27 for each of these books. So even if I were just to spend $65 just on this one book, it would have made it worth it. Now this might be a $10, $20 book. I don't know. I haven't looked it up. because like I said, I didn't really care about this book, but I at least looked up to find out that Hawkman 25 is the first Medusa. But I was buying it for this book, Hawkman #1. So to be able to get both of these books for $65.55 total, to me is a no-brainer. So again, I tell people all the time, if you're going to buy a book, even if it's a book you absolutely want, just because you see it on eBay that's about to end an auction, or just because you see somebody list one, don't just buy it because it's the first one you see and you really want it. Make sure that you can get a deal or make a deal happen. See, for me, if I can't get this for cheaper than what most people can get it for, I'm not going to buy it. I don't care if it's Amazing Fantasy 15. If there's an amazing, and you guys know me, if you're following my channel, you know that I've never owned an Amazing Fantasy 15, and I would love to own an Amazing Fantasy 15. Of course, first appearance Spider-Man. But let's say I won the lottery, a small amount of lottery, a scratch off, I won $10,000. And I saw a 1.0 for $10,000. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at any amount of Amazing Fantasy 15s at a 1.0, what they've sold for. And if the lowest one is not higher than that 10,000, I'm either going to contact the person and try and see if they'll take less, even if they don't have a best offer, or I'm going to pass up on it and wait for a deal. Now, sometimes you can wait weeks, months, and even years, but that's how you keep yourself, even in times when the economies do bad and you see prices go down, which we've seen after, the situations that happened between basically 2020 and 2022, where a lot of comics did a nosedive. Even with those nosedives, I'm still in the green when many people are in the red, because I just didn't make as much profit. If I was to sell those books now, I didn't lose money. So the idea is make deals happen and wait for deals. So for me, $65 for both of those, and again, that includes shipping and handling and taxes, to me is a no-brainer. So I try and teach people, wait. I know there are people out there that need to make content on YouTube, or they feel like, oh, if I don't get this book now, I'm never going to get it. You know, stop basing things on emotion. I mean, if you're a person that has millions of dollars in your bank account and you could buy whatever you want at any moment without a care, then yeah, pay whatever money you want. But if you're somebody like me who needs to find every little deal that they can in order to get things done, so I can earn a living selling some of these books, because I can easily sell that set for $125 right now, and somebody would buy it. So I could double my money doing nothing. Or I can end up getting it graded. I mean, I think I would only get the Hawkman #1 graded if I was even going to get that graded, and probably make even more money. So these things can happen, but you have to not be afraid to pass on an opportunity. I've had many times where I made what I considered a fair offer on a book, and they said no. And I said to myself, well, if it's not in the price range I'm comfortable with, even if it's a book I've never had and would love to have, I'm going to pass up on it. There's always going to be other opportunities. And if you can't get that mindset of that fear of missing out and doing it because everybody else is doing it, you're going to fail more times than you'll ever succeed. All right, so there are two more books. So another book, anytime I can find a deal on this, I'm going to buy this book every day, all day, every day. To me, this one is a no-brainer. So I want you to look this up and tell me what you would have paid for this. So, of course, this is Daredevil #7. Now, this is a significant book. Obviously, it's not the first appearance of Daredevil, because that's Daredevil #1. But this is the first time he wears the red suit, which, of course, if you are a Daredevil lover, and many people started becoming Daredevil lovers based on the Frank Miller run back in the, I believe, late 70s or early 80s. But the red costume is Daredevil, just like, the gray Hulk is not really the Hulk, even though it is. But everybody knows the Hulk as green, which wasn't the first appearance. That was the second appearance in Hulk #2. So this is a very significant book. Now, this is, as usual, lower grade. And say it with me, low grade is better than no grade. It looks like it has um, creamed cream pages. I wouldn't even say creamed off-white. I'm just basing it on, you can see, might be hard to see through the camera, but I can see those a tan. to cream. So it might be light tan to cream. But you can see there's a lot of finger pulls and some raggedy parts. This, of course, yes, Rizo, you're correct. This is a Silver Age book. This is probably grade-wise between a 2.5 and a 3.5. It does have several color breaking creases, but as you can see, they're not to the point where they make the cover look horrible. That tape is not on the book. It's actually on the bag. And I'll show you. I think I could remove it. So look up, I said between a 2.5 and a 3.5. So look up what a 3.0 Daredevil number 7 would be and put in the live chat. Again, what would be the price you would pay for this? The highest you would feel comfortable with before you say up, like, if you're playing 5 card stud and you have a decent hand, but you don't have 4 aces or a full house. So you can only bluff so much before you say, all right, the pot's too high for me to keep going. What would be the most you would have paid for this? And again, including shipping and handling. So this is about between a 2.5 and a 3.5. So the best bet is to look up around the 3.0. What would be the most you would pay for this book? And again, I'm doing this because I want people to get used to looking books up. Don't assume, I'd pay $50 for a book because who wouldn't? Or saying, oh, I'd pay 500 when the book is definitely not worth 500. I want people to get used to looking things up before they buy something. So one, they don't miss on an opportunity. And second, they don't overspend on a book that they thought might have been a good deal because it felt like one. So get in that habit. So Pino, I really appreciate you being the one that puts the prices of what they would pay. Pino says he'd pay $150, which includes shipping and taxes for this book. You guys know me, always make deals, always wait for deals. This was an auction, believe it or not. It wasn't even a buy it now best offer. I cannot believe I bought it. I won it for $99.99. With shipping and handling and taxes, came out to $113.41. So basically a little bit under $115 for Daredevil number 7, Silver Age. Very important Daredevil book. First appearance of his red costume. Again, deals are out there if you look for them and you take the time to make them happen. All right, last but not least, we have another one that's not really well packaged. So I'm going to be careful opening this up. I can feel it's got a little bit thicker cardboard, but it's definitely not something that you can just tear open with any knife without it bending. So as usual, if you want to hit subscribe, by all means, please do. If you want to hit the thumbs up or a thumbs down, you're free to do so. I appreciate your viewership regardless, and I appreciate those that are here leaving comments. So they did put some cardboard, and nice of them for using the painter's tape. Painter's tape is absolutely a must if you're going to mail out comics because it just makes it easier for the buyer. The worst tape you can use is the packaging tape because many a time, if you're not careful trying to rip it open, you can end up totally damaging the book just by trying to remove the tape. So this person was nice enough to actually put this in a thick plastic holder. I hope it's not a raw book in here. Okay, it's not. So they did a top loader, including the bag and board for the comic. So good job with that. That does give it a little bit extra protection. So here we go. Now, it's not a major key book, but it's signed, but it does have some relevance. So we got ourselves Fantastic Four number 29. Now, this is not the first appearance of the Watchers because that's Fantastic Four number 13, but this is the first time the Watchers are on the cover. So first cover appearance of the Watchers. And as you can see, signed by the late, great Stan Lee. Now, this doesn't have a certificate of authenticity. I don't care about stuff like that. I've had so many Stan Lee signed signatures in my lifetime that I can safely say, without actually being there, I'm about 98% sure this is an authentic signature. Especially because if you know anything about Stan Lee, he never writes his name straight across. It is always on an angle, and you can always tell because he has the S and the T always connects like it's one symbol. So, of course, without being there, you can't guarantee it. Even with the certificate of authenticity, if you're not there witnessing it yourself, there's no guarantee. But that's why, again, having knowledge, and I have many signed books with Stan Lee over the years, so I can safely say this seems authentic. Um, Dustin says the first Medusa Hawkman book seems to be around 25 to 30. Yeah, which is pretty much what I thought it was. So there you go. Good job on that, Dustin, doing the research. So I was saying it's about a $25-$30 book. So I basically paid about the true value of that book alone and did really well on the Hawkman #1. But see, that's good. I want people to look up stuff. So now, since this is the last book of the video, Fantastic Four #29. So this is a Silver Age book. It is an earlier Fantastic Four. It is the first cover appearance of the Watcher. It is signed by Stan Lee. What would be the most you would be comfortable with paying for this book? Now, keep in mind, Stan Lee's signature alone, depending on the book and everything, can raise the value of the book anywhere from 150. I've seen books go $300-$400 more just because of Stan Lee's signature, which to me blows my mind because you want to talk about something that's not rare. I mean, Stan Lee has signed more books than some companies probably had the print runs of their actual comic. I mean, Stan Lee has his signature on books that were from DC. I've seen Stan Lee signatures on books that had nothing to do with Stan Lee at all, like an independent comic signed by Stan Lee. But yet his signature will get, I've seen, like I said, I've seen up to $400-$500 more just in the same grade of a book just because it was signed by Stan Lee. So if you don't know that his signature is going to automatically increase the value of this book to at least about $125 or more, I would highly recommend research. So again, if you're watching it live, put the most that you would put in the live chat, what you'd feel comfortable with. And then if you're watching it later on, put it in the comments section. So Pino, I want to thank you for being the only one to actually put what they would pay. So Pino says he would pay up to $250, which included shipping and handling and taxes, which is not a bad price for a Stan Lee book. Again, keep in mind, like I said, this isn't graded and it doesn't have a certificate of authenticity, but a certificate of authenticity, you know, what does that mean? It still can't guarantee things. I mean, if somebody could fake a signature, they can fake a certificate of authenticity. But like I said, because I've done research, I can safely say this is most likely a genuine signature. But again, without being there, seeing him signing it, no one's going to guarantee it. But looks pretty good to me. I made an offer on this book that I cannot believe that this person actually accepted, but I'm very grateful. I made an offer of $100 for this book, and the person didn't even bother to have a counter offer. They accepted my offer. So with shipping and handling, I think it was free shipping. I paid with eBay taxes for a Fantastic Four #29, first cover appearance of the Watchers, signed by Stan Lee, for a grand total of $116.74. So Dustin actually joined in too. He says he would have paid 250 to 300. So this is what I talk about. This was a buy it now best offer. I did a best offer because I make sure any books I'm making an offer on means it was just listed. I'm not going and looking down an hour ago, a day ago, a week ago. I'm going to the very second somebody is listing something, I'm making an offer. And you'd be amazed at how many people just want to get the sale over with because they don't want to wait 7 days and maybe have to relist. They don't want to wait 10 days and maybe have to relist. People want things now. Now, that's not always the case, but I've had time and time again, even people that had a listed book with just a buy it now without a best offer. I would come in and offer them a price. Like, for example, with my Tales of Suspense number 39, that person had it for sale at $5,500. I made an offer of $5,000. Well, I did a lower offer, but we went back and forth a little bit, and they agreed. And they could have probably sold that book for $7,000, $8,000 if they wanted to. And that was when it was a 3.5 before I sent it back in to get graded and came back a 5.0 after pressings. So deals are out there. You just have to know what you're doing. You have to know value, and you have to not be afraid of missing out. If I didn't win this because they wanted to charge me $300 for this book, I'd say, thank you. Good luck with your sale. If you change your mind, let me know. And I've actually had people where I made an offer and they said no. And I didn't just give up on it and say nothing. I didn't say, well, screw you. I hope your comic gets lost in the mail. I would always say, I appreciate your offer, but it's a little bit more than I'm willing to pay. Um, I wish you good luck with your sale. I wish you great success. But if you change your mind, my offer will stand. You'd have no idea how many times people, after they said no, and sometimes 24 hours later, will contact me and say, you know what? I'll accept your offer. But you have to make sure you pay for things right away. You have to make sure you honor the things that you say. So deals, you'd be amazed at how many times I've found books that are just listed with the best offer. And my first offer that I make, they will accept right away. Because, what if somebody had a bill that they needed to pay right away and maybe couldn't wait for 7 days and then wait to see how long it took for somebody to pay for the book or even honor their bid? Because many people of if you've sold on eBay, I'm sure many people have had the experience of having somebody win an auction and not pay for it or take days to pay for it. I pay for everything immediately. So I was able to acquire Fantastic Four number 29. And like I said, this is grade wise, probably a 3.0 to 3.5. Again, I'm just looking at the front cover. I'd have to look at it better. Um, to me, this is a no-brainer. Dustin says the signature alone goes for that. Exactly. You basically got the book for nothing and paid for the signing. And see, this is what I talk about. Deals are always out there. So right there, two people said they'd pay at least $250 for this book. So I could literally say, I'm going to sell this book right now for $250. And I could more than double my money instantly without having to wait months, without having to wait for it to get graded, without having to wait and hope that the economy does better or the comic book market does better. If you want to buy books just to buy books, you're never going to be successful when it comes to the time to sell them unless you have some miracle where a book just skyrockets. I don't have to wait years. Now, I can hold on to this book and watch it increase in value. But if, let's say, tomorrow, knock on wood, all of a sudden I needed $200 quick to pay a bill, I could easily. You don't think I could put this on my one of my auctions and say I'm going to sell this book right now for $200 and I wouldn't have people like going all over it? It's because I make deals happen. I know what to look for. And I even teach these things on my videos, which nobody seems to watch. I guess because my channel is overall pretty drama free and I'm very straightforward with things. I guess people don't want to listen to me, and that's fine. The few that do tell me all the time all the deals they get and all the money they've made over the years. So if you want to base things on just purchasing just to purchase and you don't care what the price is, or you don't want to take the time to learn the value of a book, if something's a deal or not, if you're not willing to communicate with a seller and try and make a deal happen, you're going to pay fair market value or maybe more than that. I will never, unless it's a book that's so rare that paying fair market value, because I see, let's say, for example, um, an X-Men book, like X-Men number 1. The X-Men are coming to the MCU soon. They're going to probably either ditch the Avengers or lessen the amount of the Avengers at some point and probably focus more on the X-Men. If I could get X-Men number 1 for the fair market value, because I couldn't find it cheaper than that, knowing that the X-Men are coming and the price of these books would most likely increase, that's pretty much the only time I'll even consider buying at fair market value. And even then, I don't want to do it. If I can't get a book for at least 25% off of what the lowest somebody sold a book for in that grade, I'll pass up on it. So that's the difference between, and I'm not saying those that said 250 and 300 is bad, because that's probably what most people would pay for this book. But if you pay what the going rate is, now you have to wait and hope the book goes up. Now, if you're buying it because you've never had a Stanley signature, Or you love this book because maybe it's the first book you bought as a kid and you wanted it back in your collection, and having a Stanley signature would just make it all the sweeter. And you thought paying the fair market value was worth it because you're holding on to it through your own personal collection, then that's perfectly fine. But even then, I would say, why would you not want to spend less money on it so you could use that extra money to buy something else? So you could be a person that buys things at fair market value. You could be a person that will pay any amount just to have it, or you can try and make a wait for deals, because this is a book. None of the books I showed or any books I buy, I don't search for them. They come into my line of sight, and then I either make an attempt to make an offer, make an attempt to make a bid, or I make something happen. And if it doesn't go to the price range I want, I pass it by, even if I think it's a book I may not see again for another year or two. So deals are out there. You got to make them happen, but you got to put the effort in and the time in to learn the tricks of the trade if you want to be successful and profitable. Again, if you're buying a book just to read it or just because this book may be nostalgic to you, I would still say, why spend the fair market value when you can know through examples like this that deals are out there. So every book I showed. So we have Fantastic Four number 29, signed by Stan Lee. Hawkman number 25, first appearance of Medusa. Hawkman number 1, his first Silver Age solo issue. Daredevil number 7, first appearance of his red suit. And last but not least, Amazing Spider-Man number 135, Mark Julas variant. Pretty much, this one I could say maybe I paid the fair market value, but again, Punisher in the Daredevil series, eventually Punisher's going to get his own series and probably end up in the movie, so the potential of this book going up more likely than stay even or go down. So again, with Mark Julas being a rarer book, I'm willing to take the chance and pay a little bit more, but I still think I got a good deal on that book. But you can see overall, the books I bought, I could easily sell all of these and double my money right now if I wanted to, if I sold them all. That's what it's all about if you're getting comics for speculation or investment or to try and earn a living from it. So again, I cannot stress, if you don't research, if you don't know what you're doing, you know, if you want to roll the dice and hope every now and then, you get your roll come up, great, but that's not going to happen all the time. You're going to lose more than you'll win. Now, my strategy doesn't guarantee I'm going to make money every time, but even if the comic values of books go down 50%, where others would lose money buying at the current fair market value, if things went down 50%, I would either break even or just not make as much profit. So I can take a 50% market correction and still do well. Because, like I said, I paid $116 for this book. There are people, like you saw here, and graded, you probably sell it for even more, but somebody would spend $250 to $300. So let's say $250. If it cut in half because the market crashed, 50% of the market crashed, this book would now go from 250 to 125. Well, I paid 116. So not only would I not just break even, I would actually be able to make a little profit still, even if there was a 50% decrease in the comic book market. That is the strategy that is successful. There are plenty of YouTubers out that have collections that blow my collection away, that have valuable books that I may never see in my lifetime. I mean, books that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But if they spent fair market value on those, and I mean, how many people have you seen, especially recently in the comic book community, that are talking about how they're taking a bath on all of their collections that they bought because they overspent because they wanted them at that moment? Well, if you wanted them at that moment, you shouldn't care about the fact that you're losing money. Because if you're not willing to predict the future, or if you're not willing to look for deals and you're just happy that you have it, then that shouldn't change if the value of the book cuts in half. If you're happy to have it and you're trying to convince everybody it's not about monetary reasons, because most people, just let's put it bluntly, most people are not honest. Because if you said, well, I bought this book and, let's say in 2021, you bought a book that was worth $1,000 and you paid $1,000 for it. And you said, well, I know I could have gotten a better deal, but I'm absolutely happy with this book. I bought it because I wanted it. I don't care about the price because at that time you're at least breaking even. Cut to that same person, and I'm not talking one person in particular, I'm talking many people on YouTube. Cut to now where that book's maybe worth 500. Now all of a sudden they're complaining about the price going down. Well, I thought you were happy with it regardless of what you paid for it. So are you only happy for it when it's at the price that you're paying and it's fair market or it goes up? Because then you're not really being honest with the people that are watching you. You're not honest about the fact that you bought it for speculation, but you're trying to kid yourself or placate your audience by saying, I bought it regardless of the price and I love it. Well, if that's the case, if it went down from 1,000 to 500, you should still be happy with the book, right? Because it wasn't about the money. That's what most people claim. So rant over. I want to appreciate and thank everybody that's in the live chat. I mean, there's definitely shout out to Pino and Dustin for joining in with the festivities and actually putting their thoughts in here. Pino says, I can't wait for you to submit the Fantastic Four book. Absolutely going to be doing that. I really think, like I said, it'll be between a 2.5 and a 3.5 grade. But even if it's a 2.5 with a Stan Lee signature, I'll be doing very well on that book. But again, it's not because I'm lucky. It's not because, the comic gods are smiling on me. It's no, because I know what to look for. I know, just like as you saw my people in the live chat said, the signature alone is worth about $125, between 125 and 150. So I paid under what the signature value would be. So it's like somebody paid me to take the comic and then go pay Stanley $125. Well, actually $116.29 to sign the book. So just imagine somebody giving me that book for free, and then Stan Lee charges me $116 to sign it. So it's pretty much all profit at that point when I sell it. And that's what I want you guys and girls out there, especially your new collectors out there, to not do the fear of missing out, to not join in the bandwagon of what I call the flavor of the month. I've been trying to tell people about this for years. And if you work hard and if you research, you're going to succeed more than you'll fail. Now, again, it's not going to guarantee you're going to succeed every time, but you're going to succeed 85% of the time, 90% of the time, and you'll fail 15% of the time, 10% of the time. But the successes will outweigh the failures. Most people are the other way around, where they'll succeed one out of every 10 times. But that one success motivates them and motivates everybody else, and they'll focus on the success. And that's why, in my opinion, that's probably why most YouTubers will never tell you the price they pay for their books. And they'll definitely not be honest with, especially those that they send in their books. They all claim that they're not in it for the money, but they all submit their books to CGC for a 9.8 pre-screen. And if it comes back a 9.6, what do they say? Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, well, I must have had a bad grader, so I'll just resend it in until I get a 9.8. So every time they do that, every time they resubmit it, they're paying more money, which means the amount that they paid for that book has now increased each time. It's almost like a Gambler's Anonymous problem. It's an addiction for some people. If you realize it, and CGC takes advantage of these people that claim it's not about the money because they're like, oh, well, I wanted a 9.8. And this is if the average person worked for CGC that was a YouTuber in the comic book community, this is how they'd grade a book. 9.8, 9.8, 9.8. That's not how it works. And then when they get the 9.6, what do they say? I mean, how many of you right now, without naming any names of anybody on YouTube, because we're not here to call anybody out, because it's not about that, because there's many people to do it. How many times have you watched people do CGC unboxings or any other and said when they got a 9.6, oh, well, I'll just resubmit it until I get the 9.8. Well, what if it takes you 3 times? You're now adding an extra $100 or $200 to the book. Does it become worth it at that point? Do you include that with the amount that you spent? Because if you spent $100 on a book and you resubmitted it 3 times, and it cost you another $100 in shipping, in taxes, in grading fees, pressings and dry cleanings, you didn't spend $100 for the book. You've now spent $200 for that book. But most people don't add that. And that's why I tell people, if you don't know the difference between net profit and gross, between net and gross, you should not be in any business. And that's why most businesses fail, because they don't factor in all the costs. And they just say, well, I spent $100 in the book and that's what the price is, regardless of how many times I submit it in. It's not how you become successful. Because if you buy a book for $100 and you resubmit it so many times that now that book is $200, and you sell it because it's only worth $150, well, you didn't make $50 because you claim, oh, I only spent $100 on it. You lost $50 because you bought it for $100, and with all the grading fees and services, it came out to another additional $100, which totals $200, and you sold the book for $150. You lost $50. I've seen this before on many well-known YouTube channels, multiple times on multiple channels. If that's the type of people that the majority want to follow, don't be shocked that you're bankrupt. Don't be shocked that you're losing money on your comics. Don't be shocked when you weren't honest with yourself, let alone your viewers, that you were really buying them for speculation and you did care about the price. It's just when the price goes up, you're happy. I've had many books that I didn't make as much profit that I could have sold in 2021, 2022, 2020, and didn't sell them. I just won't make as much profit if I sell them now. I'm okay with that. Some profit's better than no profit. How many people do you know had to sell their comic books at a loss because they were tired of waiting? And if you can't play the long game in any kind of speculation, you should not be investing in anything. Sometimes these things takes years. Like I tell people, and so far no one's watched it and nobody's critiqued on it. Back in 2017, I believe, I did a video of my top 30 comics, showing all of my top books at that time, again, like around 2017. Then in 2024, at the end of 2024, I did a top 30. Check the difference between them. And now if I did another top 30 in about next month when I get my next 4 books back from PGX, I'll have had at least 3 more that would be in the top 10 of my collection, let alone my top 30. But it took me from 2017 to 2025 of learning, growing, speculating, paying attention to situations for me to turn around and sell books like these that are not Amazing Fantasy 15s, but I can turn around, double my money, triple my money, use that money to buy something with a little bit more of a value, get it at a deal, and build up and build up and build up. If you think it happens overnight, you're kidding yourself, or somebody's giving you information that's just clickbait to get you to watch their video. If you're not willing to put in the time, you're not going to succeed, or you're not going to be as likely to succeed. I don't want anybody to think, if you roll the dice, you can't win, because you can. But if you want to roll the dice instead of choose your own destiny, then don't be surprised if you come up snake eyes. Shout out to all my G.I. Joe fans. So if you're one of my Ultra Power viewers or Power viewers, put in the comments section once this video uploads that I made the comment about Snake Eyes from the G.I. Joe comics in the comments section. And I want to thank everybody for watching, whether you liked it or disliked it, whether you watched for 5 minutes, or whether you were kind like the people in the live chat that were kind enough to respond. So with that, Dustin Pinkinson and Pino, both of you are today's surprise subscriber shout-outs, because I appreciate the fact that you were doing the research and finding out values of comics. And I hope it inspires you to know that if I can do it, you can do it. So give our shout-outs a shout-out. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to join my Patreon and support my channel, because if you like the things that I do and get your name shouted out every video that I do, just go to patreon.com/WeLoveComics. If I can get up to 20 paid members every month that I have 20 or more paid members, as you can see, as more people come, the better the giveaways are. I'm going to be doing the giveaways. And $2 will get you one entry, and you'll get one entry for every $2 that you put in. So you could do the bare minimum, or you could do more to get more chances. So it helps support me and the animals that I take care of, and it helps support my channel where I give you all of my information free. You don't have to join my Patreon to get exclusive content. I do not believe in somebody having to pay me for exclusive content. I give it to you freely. My Patreon is for people who appreciate what I give them and they want to help support my channel. Whether you do it or not, up to you. So thanks for watching. Thanks for our shout outs. Let me know what you think about the AI art. Leave a comment after the beep. And don't forget, it's not you. It is not I. It is We Love Comics. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about all these deals. Would you have bought them for those prices? Do you think I got a steal on them? Or would you have tried to get even better deals? So I'd love to hear your thoughts. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to have your trolls spayed or neutered. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next video.